Hey guys, this is Christopher Jolly, All Gen Gamer here today. Just wanted to talk about my love for Sega consoles. And I have all the Sega consoles here that were mainstream released. Well, the Pico doesn't count. I'm going to just say that. The Sega Pico doesn't count for here because it's a home console, but it's not really a mainstream home console. And I do have a Pico, but I didn't include it here. So that's out of the way. And also, the variants of the Sega Genesis are not on here. The JVC XI, well, that's not really a Sega made product, it's JVC. But anyway, these are the main consoles I have. And yeah, before we go on in the video, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I upload new content here to the channel. And going back again to the consoles I have here, my collection, and I have the Sega Master System. This was actually my first system I got when I was a kid. Well, I was still a young kid, really young kid, and pardon the reflection, that's just, well, it's fall lights. It was Halloween/fall, so that's orange lights in the background there. I didn't realize there was gonna be a glare there. But the Sega Master System, this is the Japanese Master System. I had the American one, North American one, the same exact looking thing here, except that the cartridge slot was different. There was no 3D glasses port here. It was with the card. And everything else here looks the same, except again, there's a reset button in the American one. Here in the Japanese one, this is rapid, it says. So the Sega Master System was rebranded Mark III that came out in 1985. And that was not Sega's first console. Sega's first console was SG-1000, which I do not have. But this Sega Master System here, the Japanese one, and the American one with an EverDrive, you physically, though, you can play SG-1000 games here on the Japanese Master System, and also all the Mark III games, because basically that was the same system, just rebranded here and repurposed and made into a black-looking console to just, the reason I feel that they did this was so that they can make it mainstream, because Master System is available also in Europe and North America and Japan now, so that's why they made it like this. So again, this was Sega's first mainstream console. The SG-1000 only didn't leave Japan, so Master System was released all around the world, and it's still active in Brazil, if you guys already didn't know that already. So we have the Master System here as the first, one of Sega's first mainstream console. SG-1000 is not a mainstream console. So after that, Sega was like, okay, well, let's go here. So we're going to release a 16-bit console called the Sega Genesis. And pardon, it's under, there's a Sega Genesis. High definition graphics with some dust that came out. But yeah, the Sega Genesis came out in 1989. Well, 1988 actually in Japan, and 1989 in North America and Europe. I believe it came out in 1990 there in Europe. I don't know why Europe was always last. But yeah, this came out 16-bit graphics. This is Sega's true successful console. It put Sega on the map, the Sega Genesis. And then once they were able to say Genesis does what Nintendo don't, they sold a lot more consoles. Once Sonic the Hedgehog came out in 1991. So then when Sega was like, oh, okay, well, we're doing successful here. Let's re-release the Master System and make it the Master System 2, which didn't sell well in North America. It sold moderately well, I believe, in Europe, and it sold extremely well in Brazil. I do not have a Master System 2. Master System 2, I was going to get one, but it doesn't appeal to me because, one, I didn't grow up with a Master System 2. There's no nostalgia there. And second, it's in North America, it's only available in RF, and RF is a terrible signal. You have to mod it to make it composite. So that's why I don't have a Master System 2. So then Sega was like, okay, well, let's go a little bit deeper here. Okay, let's release a portable Master System. So we have the Game Gear here, Sega Game Gear. I had one actually, well, for like a few months, and my parents were like, oh, well, let's return it because you're not, wasn't doing. I remember I was not doing well in school. Because I was playing too much video games back then. So that's why every day we just returned my Game Gear. So I had a Game Gear for like a month, and then they returned it. And I didn't have a Game Gear anymore. But now I have a Game Gear again. And this one works. But that's not going to detail. But the Game Gear was Sega's best-selling portable system. Well, they only had another one, which was the Nomad, but that didn't really count. But Sega Game Gear was a portable Master System. It had the Master Gear Converter, which can play Master System games. And it was, technically, it was better, superior than the Game Boy. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think it was better than the Lynx, Atari Lynx. But it was not as good as the Turbo Graphics Express or the, I forgot what it was called, the PC Engine handheld? No, PC Engine LT, no, GT, I think. PC Engine GT, I'm sorry. But I just know it as Turbo Graphics Express, which is still expensive today. But the Game Gear, I have Pac-Man in there. The only weakness with this Game Gear years later is the capacitors made it really bad, like a lot of the electronics back in the 90s, except Nintendo's for some reason. So the Game Gear was Sega's, was successful also somewhat. I mean, it sold about, I think, 11 million units, or 10 million or 11 million, I can't remember. But yeah, so this is Sega's portable system, the Game Gear. And then, well, Sega's like, okay, well, let's release, you know, like some more peripherals to get the Genesis still competitive with the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom. So then they released in 1991 in Japan the Mega CD, and then they released it a year later in North America and Europe as a Sega CD in North America, and it was still also, I believe, the Mega CD in Europe because Mega Drive was not copyrighted. So we have here the Sega CD. This is the Model 1. This is the only model I have. I don't have the Model 2. But yeah, Sega CD was more known for the mediocrity of the FMV games, particularly Night Trap, which was re-released a few years ago on the PS4, Vita, and the Switch, I believe. Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, FMV, known for FMV games, but the Sega CD has great platforming and great experiences that you can't find, or enhanced experiences that you had on the Genesis, but much better on the Sega CD. So Sega, after that, is like, well, you know, a few years later, well, we're going to be secretly, you know, developing a 32-bit console. So Sega Japan's like, we're going to develop the Sega Saturn. And then, no. Sega America's like, hey, we're going to develop a cartridge-based 32-bit system, and we're going to call it the 32X. Actually, I believe the real story is that Sega Japan president, I forgot his name, Nakamura, I can't remember his name, told Sega America to develop Project Mars, while his team in the Sega of Japan developed Project, I forgot what that one was. Was it Saturn? Or Project something. Sega was into like into planets at the time, but Sega Mars became Sega 32X, and then we got the Sega Saturn. So it was released first, the Sega 32X North America before the Sega Saturn, and then 32X, it was priced at like $150. Sega was promising this thing is gonna play, you know, it's gonna be like, it's gonna be a true 32-bit console. It's gonna, you know, it's gonna be eagerly anticipated, and the thing bombed. So some units were sold like in 1996 for less than $20 at Toys R Us. So I never had a 32X growing up. Like, at the time, I didn't really play video games. I played more sports, and I was playing... This came out in 1994, 1995. I wasn't really playing much video games because, well, one, I was trying to ask out this girl. Well, anyway, at the time, nothing to do with these, you know. But, yeah, I was just playing, you know, Sega Genesis, really, and Super Nintendo. I didn't really care about 32-bit, 32X, whatever. And then after that... Sega released the Saturn in Japan a few weeks later after they released the 32X. I think the 32X actually came out after the Sega Saturn came out in November 1984 in Japan, which is hilarious. So Japan had both consoles. North America only had the 32X, but then the Saturn was released in May 1995, which was a surprise. They were trying to jump ahead of the Sony PlayStation. They were going to originally announce it as Saturn Day. But then, yeah, there was it's available now during the E3 1995. So was a blunder, $3.99, and then Sony comes up and they say $2.99, and there you go. That put the fate in the Sega Saturn in North America. This thing didn't do well in North America at all. I remember I didn't know anyone who had a Sega Saturn growing up, like at the time. All I remember the only time I saw the Sega Saturn, I forgot the actor's name. Yeah, they were interviewing him. He started in like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I forgot his name. I think it's Freddie Prinze or something. They had like an article on him, and I think it was People or anything from a weekend, like a Sega Saturn. I'm like, wow, that's the first time I've ever seen a Saturn. So it was like, that's the only person I know. None of my friends had a Saturn. They had either still a Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo. None of our parents wanted to upgrade yet. And then, yeah, so that's about it. And then next we have the Dreamcast. This is the last console that Sega did. Came out in 1999. Well, 1998 in Japan, $99.99 in North America. And this is the Sega Sports version. And it only lasted to 2001. And that's it for Sega. So that is it for Sega as a console manufacturer. It's sad, but Sega still continues to live on with their great games. And all I want to say to Sega is happy its 60th to Sega. And thank you again for being a cornerstone in my life for video games, along with Nintendo, because I didn't grow up with Atari. Anyway, thank you very much, and take care. And please share your favorite memories of Sega as a console manufacturer. Have a good one.